Okay, we're now going to move on to a presentation from Carl. And Carl's part of a very important campaign that launched about 5 weeks ago. We all know the horrific stories we've heard for years and years and years, I'd probably say decades, and probably go about 50 plus 100 years, where people with learning disabilities have been over-medicated as a form of restraint. Well, the STOMP campaign is about stomping that out. So we're going to hear now from Carl. So over to Carl. Okay, you're mic'd up, aren't you?
Yeah. Can everybody hear me? No.
Okay. Try again.
Can everybody hear me now? Yes. Fantastic. Yeah, my name's Carl Shaw. I'm a learning disability advisor. I work for NHS England. It says up there VODG. My colleague Jill works for VODG, and we're going to be talking together in the workshops. But I work with NHS England, and I'm a learning disability advisor. I have a mild learning disability. So STOMP, I'm sure several people have heard the acronym, and it stands for Stopping Over-Medication of People with Learning Disabilities, Autism or both. I'm just going to go through a story. Obviously it's Jack's story. Jack's autism was diagnosed when he was 4 years old. He also had other complex needs and struggled at school and at home. His behaviour started to become more and more challenging. Before long, he was taking lots of different tablets. He stopped being the fun-loving child he used to be. He was spaced out on the drugs, he put a lot of weight on, but the tablets did not improve his behaviour or his anxiety. By the time Jack was 9, things had got really bad. He and his family were at breaking point. Jack had to be taken out of school for his own safety. His parents were advised to contact the police and have him placed in hospital under the Mental Health Act. With support from the community team, a counselling and a positive behaviour approach helped with his behaviour. The medical staff developed a programme of gradual drug reduction, so that means it was taking less and less drugs. Jack is 11 years old now. He is a different person. He still has some difficulties, but he is doing really well. He recently managed to take part in a local drama production. He is supported by a family support worker as well as his parents, and the future is looking bright for Jack. I'm just going to read the core message. Public Health England estimates that every day 30 to 35,000 adults with a learning disability are being wrongly prescribed an antipsychotic, antidepressant or both. These are Thank you everybody, and apologies for that. As it says in the core message slide, Public Health England estimates that every day 30 to 35,000 adults with a learning disability are being wrongly prescribed an antipsychotic, antidepressant or both. These are psychotropic drugs. Just to explain a bit more about what that means, a psychotropic drug is anything that can alter someone's mind. So if they're depressed, sometimes there's drugs to help with people to sleep. These are the drugs we're talking about. So unnecessary use of these drugs puts people at risk of significant weight gain, organ failure and even premature death. So a human rights issue. If you are drugged up, you can't communicate with people properly. The world passes you by. It's a way of restraining people. It can make your behaviour more challenging in the long run. It doesn't help you learn or change. It doesn't help you get out of hospital, the opposite in fact. And obviously people shouldn't be living like that. It's a time to change. STOMP is about improving people's lives. This is about helping people live longer and giving families more time with their loved ones. This is about stopping the use of these drugs to manage people's behaviour. Stop over-medicating people with learning disabilities, autism or both, and stump it out. So the goals of the STOMP programme. Number 1, to improve the quality of life of children, young people and adults with a learning disability, autism or both, who are prescribed psychotropic drugs. Number 2, to make sure people only receive these drugs for the right reasons and in the right amount. To improve the understanding of these drugs and when they should or should not be used. To improve understanding of non-drug treatments and support which may help. Like Andrew was talking about positive behaviour support, that's another way of supporting people. And to make sure that people work with their doctor and the people who support them in making any changes to treatment. It's not about people just saying, right, I'm not going to take any drugs. It's important that you work with your doctor and your support to gradually reduce it safely. That's me.
Fantastic, really important message and importantly action taking place now. So we've got time for questions. So are you okay to take some questions?
Yes,
yeah. And if you want to, you can include Jill as well, who's down there. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So any questions for Carl or Jill? Okay, great.
Hi Carl, thanks very much, that's really good. I'm a PBS practitioner, so I understand PBS pretty well. I completely agree, it's definitely an alternative approach. I just wondering, are there any other alternative approaches that you guys have seen that's been really effective in terms of supporting reductions in medication?
I think the key is another piece of work that's going on in NHS England is encouraging people to attend their annual health checks. So it's determining what health inequalities people might need. There's also just thinking back to people who are in assessment and treatment units, people who are isolated for long periods of time, they're not getting fresh air, there's going to be consequences of that. So my idea is that you look at a person as an individual, not as a number or a group. So the only thing I can say is just really work with individuals and and we are doing a big piece of work around alternatives to medication, but those are the things that strike my mind at the minute.
Yeah, okay.
And just on the point of hospitals, I've been doing some work with hospitals recently and sometimes it feels a little bit more difficult, like the first presentation we had today about culture, the way things are done around here. Have you experienced that it's been more difficult having these conversations in some hospital settings than perhaps the community settings?
Another piece of work I've been involved in is care and treatment reviews. I don't know if people know about those. I've worked for NHS England 2 years this year in October, and I've been involved as an expert by experience on 8 different care and treatment reviews. We've just done a revised policy of the care and treatment review policy, and one thing we've embedded is a Crawley, which stands for Key Lines of Inquiry around Stump. So it's about embedding it in those. So I see care and treatment reviews as a way of helping people in those circumstances. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay. There's something really important about joined up work, isn't there? All knowing what's going on. I'm working, supporting people with learning difficulties to be on a guidance committee for National Institute of Clinical Excellence, around this.
Nice,
and they need to know what you're doing, don't they? And they need to take it all into consideration. Yeah. It's a complex world, and we have to remember there are people at the heart of it, aren't there? So it's about individuals, is what you're saying, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's about individuals. Any other questions, comments, reflections? Sorry, ignoring Mark.
Hi, Carl. Thanks. That was a really clear, really nicely presentation.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering how you actually got involved in this in the first place and what drew you to doing this.
Before I worked for NHS England, I worked for a community care provider, and in that there was a programme to like introduce people to develop in their role to look for alternative work, and NHS England at the time were looking for learning disability advisors and network managers. So there's actually 5 people, including myself, with learning disabilities and autism employed in NHS England. So the way it worked where there's transforming care, which is, like I say, about getting people discharged out of hospital. And there's obviously the bigger learning disability programme. So there's things like care and treatment reviews, STOMP, concerns and complaints, lots of different pieces of work that are going on. And I got asked to be involved in Stump. And I'll be honest, my first thought was, I'm not a clinician, I know very little about medication, but I feel like I've grown into this role and I can bring a perspective of someone with a learning disability. So that's mainly how I got involved. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you so much, Carl. Time's up. And thank you. Oh, Andrew wants to offer something. I'll get told off if we don't let Andrew ask a question.
I just want to say that I think you've done really well there doing the presentation. I think we do well for us. I think it's all well for us.
Thank you. Thank you.